Okay, here we go for another week of fun and games and ranting and raving about the opinions of the Midnight Skeptic. I'm not wearing a Hawaiian shirt today. I hope my many thousands of fans out there don't mind. So, with that, we'll play the in music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, this is the Midnight Skeptic show number 78, the 78th show on YouTube. I was doing the Midnight Skeptic just on radio, KPCA LP 103.3 FM. Before that. And this is Tuesday, the 19th of July. And for the radio people, you will be hearing this on Sunday at the usual time, 9 p.m. on KPCA LP 103.3 FM. And maybe I should tell you that today is Sunday night. Okay, that's for the radio people. Okay, the views of the Midnight Skeptic are not necessarily, although they should be, the views of Petaluma Community Access and all of the people that work down there. I strongly suspect that most of them feel, as I do, rather progressive and liberal. We don't really have any MAGA heads working down there, so for what that's worth. Okay, if you have views differing from mine, please let me know. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. The Midnight Skeptic at gmail.com. All one word, all connected, everything. And include with it hate mail and death threats. I'm more than willing to deal with them appropriately. Okay, shout outs. On Anchor FM, which is an agglomerator of various other outfits that have podcasts and shows like this one. Spotify is the one that they toss out there internationally. And I've got a dozen or so fans. I guess you can call them that. They watch now and then. Fans in Europe and about a half a dozen over in Australia and New Zealand. Okay. Locally, Nariman. Okay, I got to readjust my notebook here, and I should try to follow my notes more carefully. Nariman, Art Kuznets, Keith and Cody K, Tom and Nancy Throw, those are the Petaluma people. In Sacramento, Mickey Huff, the godfather of Project Censored, and go to projectcensored.org. There's a lot on there, and various blogs from various peoples, and it's quite interesting. He does his show tomorrow, Wednesday from 1 to 2 on KPCA LP 103.3 FM, which is repeated on Friday over at Berkeley KPFA, which is 94.1. I don't know whether they're KPFA LP or not. Maybe they're not. I don't know what the cutoff is, but that's a power designation. We at KPCA are LP, which stands for low power. I don't know. That's a technical thing that I don't know anything about. Okay. Sacramento. Okay. Dave and Rosita Takach, Sebastopol, Rich and Kathy Berger, Pacifica, Stan and Kathy Gustafson. And Stan, I will be seeing you 2 Wednesdays from now for the Live Fest. Listeners and watchers out there don't know what I'm talking about, but we play a lot of liar's dice with a group of guys who enjoy lying, and none of them are Republicans, okay? In San Francisco, Yvonne Santos, she listens now and then. In Katati, Lori and Kevin. And down in L.A., Jackie and Wayne Kolar and their daughter Samantha. Arizona, my brother Brandon and his wife Mina. And they live in the Santan Valley area, which is about a half an hour drive to the east of Phoenix. Okay, it's awfully hot down there now. Hydrate. Stay out of the hot sun, Bran. You're not getting any younger. And then Andrea, she's a nurse down there, and COVID is staging a comeback. So wear your PPE or masks and all of the stuff that helps you avoid that. Take care of yourself. And then her husband Tim and their 3 little terrorists, not tourists, terrorists. Okay. Sometimes there's not much difference between those two. Okay. And then Karina Hilliard, the snake removal technician down in Patagonia, Arizona. And then the Sonora crowd, Bob and Sandy Fisher, Brad and Martha Fisher. Martha, same advice to you. Martha's a nurse up in Sonora. Wear your PPE, and I'm glad to hear that you don't have to work any more double shifts. Okay. Also, Judy May, Leonidas Maciel, Darrell Larson, Kathy Francis, and then all the way down in Mexico City, originally from Sonora, Rosie Lopez Negrete, and also Tiffany and Jennifer Gleason. They listen occasionally, along with their dad, who lives up in Tweenheart, California, John Gleason. Florida, Amanda Beamer, in the Edgewater area, and then Nelson and Alice Lydell, who were across the state in the Sarasota area. Okay, and going up the coast, Herr Dr. David Rubin, an ex-roommate back in the late 70s in San Francisco. And then going all the way up to Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger. Okay, enough of that. I want to make an announcement that most of you know anyway, but I will reiterate it here. I, the Midnight Skeptic, am proudly woke. W-O-K-E. I am woke. I would like for that word to be used enough in a good way so that Republicans, those horrible, hateful creeps, don't get to use it as a pejorative, okay? Another thing, another announcement, it's about the shows. From now on, the Midnight Skeptic, when he needs to reference Republicans, will always preface it with horrible, hateful Republicans. I know, it's childish and juvenile and playground name-calling. So what? Republicans do it all the time. They cannot say Democrat or leftist or liberal without saying radical or far left. Those are dog whistles to their horrible, hateful base. Okay, so, you know, a, a Democratic politician probably would advise me, oh, don't do that. Don't get down in the gutter with the Republicans. That's what they do. We should be fair and honest and not do any name calling. Well, BS to that. Democrats are too nice. Now, I just heard on let's see, The Beat with Ari Melber, which is my favorite MSNBC show, that a number, 20 or so, I don't know exactly how many, a number of House of Representatives, Democrats, every one of them, have been arrested. The one I recognized was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and anyway, I'm not going to tax my brain that's about to freeze up trying to remember all the others, but there was about 20 of them, and they all got arrested by Capitol Police because they were protesting in front of the Supreme Court about the latest atrocity foisted off on this country by our Supreme Court conservative political hack members. And yes, I'm talking about you, Mr. I like beer crybaby. Okay, so I'm going to try every time I need to mention Republicans, I will always say hateful, horrible Republicans, or maybe horrible, hateful Republicans. Okay. All right. Okay. This is a follow-up on the story that I talked about last show, and it made all the headlines. This poor 10-year-old Ohio girl who was a rape victim, and she had to, well, she got impregnated by her rapist. And Ohio wouldn't perform the abortion because she had been pregnant for 6 weeks and a couple of days, outside of the allowable time frame for getting an abortion. So she had to go to Indiana for this. I'm sure that most of you out there have been made aware of this story. Okay, the horrible, hateful Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, capital Rokita, a Republican, of course. Oop, I've already done it. I forgot to say horrible, hateful Republican. Okay, of course, threatened to go after the medical license of Dr. Caitlin Bernard, an OBGYN at Indiana University Medical Center, who performed the abortion. Attorney General Rokita launched an investigation to see if Dr. Bernard had followed all reporting and privacy requirements. Well, she did. But still, the first thing that comes to the mind of this hateful, horrible Republican Attorney General in Indiana is I've got to go after her, those evil doctors who do this thing. Okay. Rather than worry about the girl herself. Okay, anyway, I'm riffing now. Attorney General Rokita launched an investigation. Okay, Dr. Bernard complied with all reporting requirements. Okay, and she had done all those things. So that's, there's no point in investigating any further. But they'll probably want to harass her or do something to get back at that abortionist. Okay. Horrible, hateful Republican Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, capital Y-O-S-T. He's a Republican, of course, was among those who, after the story broke, went on Fox News to question the veracity of the news story, because he hadn't heard anything about it from any of his ace investigators at police departments. Well, okay, they've arrested the 27-year-old rapist, and he confessed. Republican Congressman, I gotta remember to do this. Horrible, hateful Republican Congressman Jim Jordan called her rape a lie in a tweet. Well, now, after they arrested this guy and he confessed, well, Jim Jordan quite sneakily erased his tweet. Surprise, surprise. The 27-year-old rapist was arrested and confessed to raping her twice. Dr. Bernard's lawyer, says she is considering legal action for being smeared. Go for it, Dr. Bernard. Name Jim Jordan and name Attorney General Rokita and Attorney General Dave Yost. Get them all. Horrible, hateful Republicans, every one of them. Okay. Ranting should be an Olympic sport. You got to be in shape for this, especially your voice box. Sip time. Semi-good news. A lawsuit was filed against Florida's so-called Stop the Woke Act. Or in Florida, it's known as House Bill 7. And its official title is Stop the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employers Act. Cute. If you take the first initial of all those words, it spells out woke. Okay, what does this bill do? It prohibits the teaching of CRT in K through 12 schools and employee learning experiences about acceptance and working with your co-workers who may be of some minority persuasion. That's not the right way to put it. It's not a persuasion. It's just a fact of life. Anyway, and this is a quote from Death Santis. Quote, "We won't allow Florida tax dollars to be spent teaching kids to hate our country or to hate each other." And it's not being done. It's just a horrible, hateful Republican talking point. Okay, the suit was filed by a law firm, and they They call themselves Inclusivity LLC, a limited liability corporation. Okay, inclusivity is one of those words that certainly raises the hackles of all hateful, horrible Republicans. Okay, now on the last show, I had a brain freeze and I was trying to remember the name of the guy that was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer. It was George Floyd. That should be on the tip of my tongue. It should be on the tip of everybody's tongue. But I just couldn't think of it. It was a brain freeze. I have them, I would say once in a while, but it's getting to be more than just once in a while. Anyway, it's George Floyd, and the killing of him and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and all of the others speared the Black Lives Matter movement. And, and I am all for that movement. One thing I am not for, and I said this on last week's show, I am not for defunding the police. That was a stupid phrase, and I can understand the anger behind it, but we need policemen. What we need is well-trained, compassionate, community sympathizing policemen who want to solve problems, not kill black motorists because they, have a burnt out rear tail light or something. And I am, when all things are considered, very pro-police. We need first responders, which also include firemen and sheriff's deputies. We need some mechanism for weeding out the, junior Trumpers and MAGA heads in police departments. And they're there. We just need to, first of all, increase the educational requirements of police recruits. I would say a minimum of 2 years at a community college or junior college. Okay, I'm riffing. That wasn't something I was going to talk about, but I just wanted to remind my audience of George Floyd. Okay, good news. California is soon going to start making its own insulin and selling it at just a little over the cost to make it. The details have to be worked out, but that's coming this year. And we should be able to get the selling price of it down to about $35, which is just a little bit more than its cost to make. Okay? Most horrible, hateful Republicans voted against it. Excuse me. It's in a bill, and I didn't write down the number of it, but it's in a bill that's working its way through the California State Legislature and the California State Senate right now. Of course, Governor Newsom is going to sign it when it gets to his desk, and then as soon as California can get it up and running, we're going to make Cal insulin. I don't know what they'll actually call it, but California brand insulin. And that will be a boon attention to all people that have diabetes and are going broke over the exorbitant charges from the drug company, Big Pharma. Okay. All right. I warned all my listeners and watchers on YouTube about this. Here we go, folks. The horrible, hateful, senator vomit-inducing Texas Senator Ted Cruz of the horrible, hateful Republican Party said in a speech that Obergefell versus Hodges was, quote, clearly wrong. In its 2015 Supreme Court ruling decision making same-sex marriages legal over the whole country. And this is a quote from the vomit-inducing Senator Ted Cruz. Marriage was always an issue that was left to the states, unquote. The decision was the court clearly overreaching. Those are his words. Okay. So there's, this business of states' rights. Well, that was the cry of the segregationists before 1964. Mainly southern states that wanted to deny them colored folk the vote. That's what they wanted. It should be left to the states to determine who's eligible to vote or not. Okay, that was something that, in their opinion, should be left to the states. Now they're saying that marriage should be left to the states. A woman's control of her own body should be left to the states. Supreme Court Justice, what's his name? Brain freeze, the black guy that's a Supreme Court Justice. He would not be able to have married his wife, who was white, if Loving versus Virginia weren't decided back in 1968. Sip. Okay. Well, that Supreme Court Justice warned us in his written opinion that all of these cases, Obergefell versus Hodges, the one versus Connecticut about the birth control pills, the one somebody versus Texas, Lawrence. Actually, I have those things written down right here. Obergefell versus Hodges, Lawrence versus Texas, and Griswold, that's what I was trying to think of, versus Connecticut. All of those are in danger. Also, Loving versus Virginia. Okay. Bad news. I hate giving you guys such bad news, but that's unfortunately kind of the times that we live in right now. Okay, there are now 72 chapters of the Proud Boys. There were 43 at the time of the January 6th insurrection. The leadership is trying to resurrect their image or make it better by holding charitable events. but their goal is to be the neo-fascist paramilitary wing of the horrible, hateful GOP. They still attack Pride and LGBTQ events. The Southern Poverty Law Center describes them as a hate group. Of course they are. Time check. Yeah, it's been a half an hour. Okay. Texas far-right activist Kelly Neidert, Neidert, who has described herself as a Christian fascist, shared her views on how the Proud Boys could, quote, help the cause by rounding up people who participate in pride events, unquote. Okay, I Googled her, and here's a brief update on Kelly Neidert. She's a college student, and she's a senior at University of North Texas, and she describes herself as, on a tweet, as the most hated college student in Texas. And this is according to her own Twitter account. She tweeted, quote, one of my greatest accomplishments is giving COVID to someone who was vaccinated. And, quote, trans women are men, actually. Unquote. She proudly walks around campus in her red MAGA hat and uses her megaphone, which she also carries with her, to troll liberal students and liberal events and students that she knows are sympathetic to the LGBTQ community. What a hateful sow. Okay, where am I? I'm off my notes. Okay, there is definitely something wrong with her, as is all MAGA head creeps, hateful, horrible Republican MAGA heads. She has received the campus, not received, she has revived. My handwriting strikes again. She has revived the Campus Young Conservatives of Texas, or YCT, chapter. To her allies on the right, she is a crusader against the woke left. Welcome, Kelly. Here I am. I'm woke. Come after me if you dare. Okay. Here's a couple of short bits. Okay. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing the Biden administration over the Health and Human Services Department guideline that hospitals must allow an abortion if, in an emergency, the doctor believes it is the stabilizing treatment that is necessary. Okay? They aren't satisfied with just outlawing abortion with no exceptions for rape or incest. Ken Paxton is not making an exception for the health of a mother. Damn Texans. And that's why I say horrible, hateful. It applies to Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton. And I thought Ken Paxton was under indictment from the Department of Justice for some financial shenanigans. Okay, I'm going to look that up and I will report back to you, my loyal listeners and watchers, about that. Okay, I just got to remember to do it. Okay, another hateful, horrible Republican, Jim Bopp. Okay, capital BOPP, an Indiana lawyer and general counsel to the Right to Life organization there in Indiana. Quote, the 10-year-old Ohio rape victim would have had the baby. We would hope that she would understand the reason and ultimately the benefit of having the child, unquote. I don't know. I just want to let that sink in for a little bit. I'm going to read it again. This is Jim Bopp, an Indiana lawyer and general counsel for the Indiana chapter of the Right to Life. The 10-year-old Ohio rape victim would have had the baby. We would hope that she would understand the reason and ultimately the benefit of having the child. You know, if she lived through the birth. Okay. News about cowards. And who am I talking about? The Uvalde law enforcement guys. Ultimately, there was almost 400 law enforcement officers that eventually responded to the Robb school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. The first two local ones ran away when the school shooter shot at them. Peace officers are rightly afraid of a shooter with an AR-15 like assault weapon. You know, that should tell you that we should outlaw ownership of all assault weapons. You know, the NRA, bless their horrible, hateful hearts, want everybody to own one of these damn things. The police departments don't want that. 90 some odd % of the citizens of this country don't want that. We had a ban on assault weapons during the Clinton administration, I think, for about 10 years, and it expired during the Bush administration, the early years of the Bush administration. And of course, horrible, hateful Republicans voted against renewing it. But during that 10-year period, mass shootings really dropped. There is a correlation between the massive amount of guns that we have in this country and homicides, suicides, and mass shootings. There is that correlation. The NRA would never admit that, but it's true. Take it from the Midnight Skeptic. Okay. And I don't blame peace officers for not wanting to get into a gunfight with anybody that's armed with an AR-15. They are weapons of war. They're designed to kill a lot of people as quickly as possible. All right, enough of that. I am not anti-police, but I am anti-police who don't do their jobs or do their jobs in a willfully wrong manner. Okay, enough. Okay, very good news. On July 9th, 2021, Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law the Free School Meals for All Act, AB 130. Okay, 6 million public school children, K through 12, it gives the option to these students of receiving free breakfast and lunch every school day, beginning in school year 2022-23. So, well, that's coming up real quick. At the end of August, like that's next month. Okay, it's going to start then. So it will build on the foundations of the Federal National School Lunch Program, or the NSLP, and also the School Breakfast Program, or the SBP. Pretty soon, kids will be able to concentrate on studying and learning their lessons. Okay. Good news. Winston-Salem, North Carolina bookstore Bookmark on the 8th of this month, which is Saturday. Wait a second, it wasn't a Saturday. The 9th was a Saturday. Okay. Anna Yacht, Y-A-C-H-T, that is her performance name. A bearded drag queen dressed like an eccentric elementary school teacher read Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. At Bookmark entrance, a lone police officer hovered nearby as bookstore employees personally ushered each child into the June 18th story time. Okay, I blew that one. Okay, the article said Saturday, yet it said the 9th. Well, okay, Saturday was the 16th or the 9th. Okay, it doesn't matter the exact date. Okay. I lost my place, as usual. Am I speaking metaphorically? I have lost my place. Okay. Each child to enter the June 18th story time, waving away reporters, good for them, news crews, and adults without children who wanted to attend the reading. Quote, "This is no different than any other story time because this is about the kids," an employee of the bookstore said. Quote, "It's not about the media or the protesters. It's about story time for kids." Okay, unquote. This is a store employee. Okay, before Yacht began reading, she told the kids it was okay to be a little different. You can't ever convince Republicans of that. Excuse me, hateful, horrible Republicans of that. She said, "Clap if you're different." And the kids clapped excitedly. She said, "I know I'm different," Yacht said. It's clear that the manufactured hysteria by the hateful, horrible Republicans over drag performers reading to kids is a projection of insecure and tyrannical adults afraid of things children are unfazed by. That describes Republicans to a T. Hateful, horrible Republicans. Okay. Hateful, horrible GOP stormtroopers have, of late, invaded other libraries hosting drag story times. San Lorenzo is a good example. San Lorenzo is a town that's across the bay from Petaluma, a little south of Oakland. Hateful, horrible Republicans, lawmakers in Florida, Arizona, and Texas have announced plans to pass legislation banning children from drag events. Drag Queen Story Hour is a nonprofit which began in San Francisco in 2015 and now has 50 chapters in the U.S. and 20 chapters internationally. Okay, a real quick blurb here. A quote-unquote Christian woman, her name is Lynn Meager. Okay, I'll spell that for you. Capital capital MEAGHER, who has to be a horrible, hateful Republican. And she testified in favor of the South Dakota anti-trans bill, has been called out by her own trans kids after she said she, quote, lost her kids to the trans cult. I want them back. Well, her oldest trans woman daughter, Helen, I don't know how old she is, but she's an adult, said she was not lost from her mom. She left her mom because her mom was transphobic, a racist, and just a hateful, horrible person in general. Time check real quick. All right, still got some time. And she has another kid who is also trans, and I'm not sure about that one. The article that I read quoted Helen, the older trans woman. Okay. Another quick blurb here. Russia's highest ranked woman's tennis player, who is currently at number 12 in the world tennis rankings, said Monday that she is gay and is dating a woman. She called for an end to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. She lives in Spain now. Russia's parliament is in discussions of or showing signs of passing anti-LGBTQ, similar to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. In movies, in classrooms, in lecture halls, in public discussions of any time, if this bill in the Russian parliament passes, nobody will be able to say gay. Okay. The law actually says, or the potential law actually says, discussions of LGBTQ relationships. And this has been labeled internationally as Russia's Don't Say Gay legislation. Okay, her name, the tennis player, the number 12, Daria Kasatkina. Okay, that's her name. And she's currently dating Natalia Zabiako, who is a gymnast and on the Russian women's gymnastics team. I don't think she is now, and she's not living in Russia. Now, the article didn't say where she's living now, but if they're dating, they're probably both in Spain. Okay. Last show, I read this quote from a pastor named Dave Barnhart, and it is so powerful that I think I will read it again. Okay? And it is very good. Very, very good. The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated, unlike the incarcerated, addicted, or the chronically poor. They don't resent your condescension or complain that you are not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or child care. Unlike aliens, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage that you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships. And when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. Because they cease to be unborn. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you want to claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn. Time check real quick. One of the things I was going to do was read this article, and it's not that long. I'm not going to do it now. It was by Joe McCreight, MC, CREIGHT. He's a doctor, and it was about the difference between men and women. Okay, I'll save that for next time. I will do it. And then here's also an article about drag queens fearing for their safety in culture wars. The Proud Boys are now the stormtroopers of the Republican Party. Okay, one fairly quick one here. This is a newsletter called Democracy Docket, and it's from the 5th of this month. The title of it is Florida Students Must Register Their Political Views with the State. Washington, D.C. Governor Ron DeSantis, the horrible, hateful Republican governor of Florida, signed legislation into law on Tuesday, and this was... Okay, it's got to be the 5th, the very same day that this was written. Okay. On Tuesday, that requires students and faculty of public Florida universities to report their political views to the state starting this July. And House Bill 233 requires university students and faculty to fill out a survey from the government about their political beliefs in what DeSantis has called an effort to monitor intellectual diversity. On campus. All right. Florida Senate President Wilson Simpson, obviously one of the hateful, horrible Republicans, echoing the governor's sentiments, said that there was a great risk that the state's universities had become, and this is a quote from him, socialism factories. Democrats and university faculty have attempted to get answers from state Republicans horrible, hateful Republicans, on how these survey results will be used, as the bill provides no guarantees or protections against partisan targeting of campuses and staff, does not protect student confidentiality. We don't want no Democrats or socialists or commies in our colleges. Okay, I've got a couple more minutes here. The move to quote-unquote diversify, meaning get more right-wing zealots on campus as students. Okay, the move to diversity campus speech comes just a few days after DeSantis publicly supported the banning of critical race theory and announced he would campaign against any school board member who promote teaching the history of racism in America to Florida students. We don't want no history. That's just teaching kids to hate America. Okay, the legislation is one of many attempts to monitor and silence dissent that Florida horrible, hateful Republicans have passed into law this year. In April, DeSantis signed House Bill 1 into law, an, quote, anti-riot bill, unquote, that Democrats say will stifle First Amendment rights to protest and purposely written broadly to allow police significant leeway to arrest and convict protesters. Fascism in Florida is alive and well. Okay, I'm tired of all this ranting, although somebody has to do it. Might as well be me. Okay, here's the play out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to pet your cat. It's a great stress reliever. It really is. Take the Midnight Skeptic's word for it. All right, I will see and listen to you guys, and you can listen to me next week. Take care, people.